All right, so I already did a quick intro, but some of you just came in. I'm an entrepreneur. I spent pretty much my entire career building a liquor delivery business. And had a lot of fun doing it. And I had to raise quite a bit of capital for this business. And I did a lot of fundraising. And when I hear someone saying, I got rejected by 200 investors, got rejected by probably 1,000 investors. So 200 number is not really that scary. But starting in December, I started hosting this kind of events with Katya, who's a good friend of mine, and we were just catching up over coffee during winter in New York. And so I was like, hey, I'm interested in building a community, and I want to do some Jeffersonian style lunches. And she was like, let's do it together. And we did one. It was very successful. People loved it. And what we like about Jeffersonian style is that we spend a lot less time talking about our backgrounds, and we spend a lot more time talking about a topic, going deep, doing a deep dive, and really hearing each other's ideas and perspectives. And it's a really interesting way to get to know a new person. And now we're doing about 4 events per month. It's a lot of fun, and it's just a personal passion of mine. I really like meeting people. I like helping people. I like connecting people. Same applies for Katya. She's a super connector and knows probably 4 times as many people as I do. But yeah, it's really great to have you all. So thank you. And President, as of today, it's a community for founders, operators, and investors in New York City. So if you're out of town, sorry about that. But for now, we're just focusing on New York. And I'm working on something else, and it has to do with building a physical space. So I can tease it. But one thing I learned is that to truly build a community, we all need to be in the same physical workspace. So that's something I'm working on in parallel, and so I'll be making some announcements in the next month or so. But I'll pass it on to Katya, to do her intro. And
I'll keep it short. Hi everyone, thanks so much for coming. I know 4 p.m. is slightly a weird time slot. 5 minutes ago, there was no one in the room. Now I'm happy to see everyone. So my name is Katya. I'm actually managing director and head of platform at Stifel Venture Bank. So Stifel is a $400 billion publicly listed financial company. Within Stifel, we have bank, we have wealth management and investment bank. So I lead the venture side of business. And basically, I support founders from idea to IPO. And not just founders, fund managers as well. So that's why we have Mosaic here. I met Julian and Eduardo, the GPs, and there are a few other investors in the room. But so Stifel is that full platform, very supportive, not only company journey, but founder's journey as well. My personal background, I've been mentor over decades. Last 3 years, I actually spent Techstars. I built Techstars portfolio services team. Techstars invested in 4,400 companies all over the world. So my challenge was to scale not only self-service, but actually white glove. And my group, we helped founders raise 400 million within the 3 years that I kicked off that practice. And then I also built M&A practice and other alternatives to help founders post-program through the whole journey. Before that, I raised my own funds. For funds, I built an accelerator here in New York City called Startup Ventures. Danny was one of my early advisor and mentor within Accelerator, working with founders. And actually, successfully, we led founders to first exits that gave amazing returns to my funds. And frankly speaking, being an investor and asset manager is a completely different journey. So I decided I don't want to do that and play that game. I prefer actually to support founders and be that partner in different type of products and services. So I do achieve that right now with Stifel. And I'm super excited because Stifel is a very entrepreneurial environment. You'll meet, if you're staying, we're having another kind of panel conversation with some of founders in the ecosystem at 6 p.m. So you'll meet the rest of the Stifel team. and probably heard about Cass and Mike doing that panel. So they were actually good friends of Stifel as well. So that's long story short. Excited about this workshop because the goal was to actually add value to founders, to you guys, and not just have another bullshit workshop or whatever, another AI kind of thing. And Danny's really good at that. So not only he's good at teaching, mentoring, advising founders, he's been in different shoes and he knows the drill, but also what I'm proud is that we're happy to support beyond just this workshop. So if any of you join Stifel, we actually covering the one-on-one sessions with Danny. So that's on us. And with that, enjoy the workshop. And
How do they connect with you?
we'll be sending, we'll send everyone's contact information. So feel free to reach out. Super simple.
Sweet.
I'm not one of that bankers that's like hard to reach. Actually, we're really very atypical. That was the reason why I joined Stifel as well.
Okay, really quick before actually, I'm just going to do the intro real quick. So like Katya said, I worked with her for many years, coach a bunch of startups, been working with Fundraise a lot from like the building product market validation to like also helping with fundraising. And the cool thing about like this whole AI thing is that it's the productivity increase that I've been seeing is like in X, measured in X, not percentage. And I've been excited to see that. And before that, I was in product design. I used to work for some of these companies, Yahoo Economist, and whatnot. So, but it's not about me. So I'm curious to hear from you guys really quickly. Show of hands. How have you used AI in your fundraising activities? Anyone have used it? You haven't started? You haven't started. Okay. Basic research, information gathering. Okay. Content creation. This is probably most people, right? Pitch deck development, feedback. Okay. And investor research targeting. It's cool. Maybe you don't need to see. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. So by the end of this workshop, you will have an understanding of the fundraising process and the key AI opportunities within that, right? Sounds like some of you are already seasoned entrepreneurs, so you probably already know and have gone through this, but we'll see where AI can help us with that. And also learn to audit the pitch deck. That's the main activity here. So I have a pitch deck from a company I coached before that we're going to use as a case study, and we'll see what we can do with that. And apply practical AI methods to improve the pitch content and visual. That's the agenda. So we just did introduction. We'll talk about the fundraising process breakdown, and then we'll do the activity. And then we'll open it up for conversations. Big picture, this probably looks very familiar to you guys, right? Investor research, pitch development, financial rooms and data and rooms, outreach meeting, right? Very simple process. But then for the investor research, you need to define the investment criteria for your side, right? Analyzing the investor portfolios, researching investor preferences. Because if you're targeting the wrong investor, they're not going to even talk to you. You're going to waste a lot of time. So the common challenge is spending too much time researching investors who aren't even a fit. Maybe the wrong stage, the wrong industry, missing ideal investors because they're not on your radar, or difficulty determining investor preferences and thesis. So this is something that deep research can really help us in AI. Like now, a lot of these companies are really pushing this thing for free, actually. A lot of them, Grok, Perplexity, Gemini, obviously. And I think did Claude just release one as well, right? So we got to leverage this, and we'll talk about that. In one of our workshops, actually, we go deep into that. The next one is pitch development, obviously, right? The key activities are creating the narrative. Why you, why now, right? Because a lot of times, especially in the early on, as you guys know, the investors are investing in the founders. Developing stage appropriate pitch elements. Because like if you're like very early, focusing on that, for example, traction, maybe not the best idea. Building compelling investor story. Because at the end of the day, you're selling a vision. Common challenge is creating content that resonates with investors versus customers. This is a very common mistake that a lot of founders make, is that they use the exact same content. Customers and investor, different audience, they have different interests. Presenting complex technical solutions in accessible ways, that's something that could be challenging, especially for technical founders. And then also balancing confidence with realistic expectations, not to sound like, oh, it's a grand vision is to BS it, right? So the opportunity here is to strengthening narrative structure and identifying gaps, and we're actually going to play around with this a little bit to see how AI can help us. Financial data room. Obviously, you need to create the financial models, projection, market analysis, organizing due diligence materials, all these things. Sometimes can be a make or break, right? Because if they look at your financials and they don't look legit, and also it needs to be compelling as like supporting your narrative. So the AI opportunity here, the market research, data gathering, and visualization, how to like package it together and create a story that actually supports your narrative. Outreach and meetings, crafting effective cold outreach so they can get the response. Preparing for meetings and follow-ups, managing your investor pipeline, because now obviously we know that on the other side, they also use this. Not just us, but they also use this. Maintaining momentum and relationship could be at scale, could be a problem. Differentiating your outreach from 100 other funders. Also, this is going to be very challenging. So the AI opportunity personalization is massive here. If you could create an agent that personalize your outreach and help you with the research, that will really get you noticed. Now let's get into the demo. But before that, reality with pitch deck, a lot of you probably already know this. 2 minutes is the average time that investors spend on a pitch deck. As they say. And then if you got
less than that.
probably less actually. I've been generous. Yeah, and typical slide deck is like what, like 12, 15, let's say 12 slides. That means like 10 seconds per slide. So you need to be concise, focus on essentials. And the goal is really meeting, like having a meeting, right? You're not really trying to get the investment right there. You're trying to get a meeting. There are really two parts of this. It's for the pitch deck. It's not about you. It's like it's the content and the visual design. Because if it doesn't look professional, you're just gonna get ignored, right? It needs to look professional enough, and there is no reason not to get there now with all these tools. The content part, missing content. If there's key element that they're expecting for the kind of startup that is in your stage that you don't have, right? Disjointed narrative flow. You have everything, but the flow doesn't make sense. The narrative doesn't flow. Then they're just like, I don't have time for this to figure out the story. The content accuracy, of course. If you feel like, oh, this doesn't checks out, then. And visual design, credibility is a big thing, obviously. Too much content on slide is a massive thing because a lot of times the founders have a lot to say, as they do, right? You're excited about your own baby, but sometimes too much. And the whole point is just to get the attention and have the conversation more, even make them more curious. Content, the layout and the visualization, sometimes we use the wrong kind of visualization that could cause confusion actually. Now, here's what we're gonna do. So I have this deck. I'm just gonna show it to you guys first so that you can get an idea of what we're working with. Right? Not gonna go through the whole thing. For the most part, it looks decent. Just go through real quick. So we have like different versions, right? One of your kids. So now what we're gonna do here, we're gonna use Claude, and then after that we're gonna compare the result. So this is, maybe I should just make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see the prompt a little bit better. Now, if I just, one of the things that is really good with these things to use is to use the attachment, visual.
Do you pay for Claude?
What?
Do you pay for it, Claude? No, no.
Yeah, $20.
That's
The max is a lot more.
Well, it's not max. I think about decent rates. It just can get pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's especially if it's thinking a lot, then it gets expensive. So for simple, oh yeah, it does think a lot.
Just think about this.
So there's the thinking is actually here, extended thinking. right? If you want something that's more complex, as in like coding or things like that, you want that. But we don't need that. We want it to actually, for this, we want it to just quickly respond. And one pro tip, if you guys haven't been using this, is the shift return to create a new line. That's very useful, so you can add more context. And this is the research thing that I mentioned earlier. But anyways, with this, the first one that we said that as an early stage investor, review this deck. Simulate reviewing this as a busy investor, spending typical time to review decks. Narrate your thoughts. This way, the AI knows. The AI has been trained a lot of data, but it's just like this overly eager intern, just like, okay, here you go, right? So this way, okay, chill. You're playing this role. Based on that, you're playing this role. And then simulate it, reviewing this as a busy investor, meaning that that whole thing that we talked about earlier, only short attention span, is very much providing the context here. And then I want to hear what it's thinking. Okay, let's see what we get. Open deck glances at watch. 3 minutes between meeting. Okay, so a common problem with using a lot of the AI tool is that you get too much information and you can't really process. This one is not bad. Quick assessment. So normally I just go straight to the bottom first and then go to the actual assessment. This feels like a standard HR not analytics, blah, blah, blah. Decision, pass. Yeah, I don't think they did it. That's funny. But anyways.
Hey, Jason.
Okay, another way to make this even better is to make it more, so I'm going to add this. From 0 to 10 with 0 actual equals definite no, 10 equals definite yes.
Real deck.
How would you rate this then? Why not lower? What can I do to increase the rating by 1 point? This way you can start having a baseline, you can improve that, right? You can figure out what area in this that you can actually improve on. This is actually very useful for anything that you want AI to help you analyze or improve, to have it give you a rubric. Could be a design, could be usability, could be whatever. Feature set, ask it to give you a rubric because it's got a lot of training. 4 out of 10, right? Why not lower? So things are working. So this way, if you got something as a starting point, even as like an early draft, you can start using this. So you don't waste time building things that are like, oh, I already built like 10 hours and it's the wrong thing. So you can start identifying the gaps, right? To increase, then it starts to give you more concrete suggestion, right? The easiest fix is number 1. So now I'm too lazy to actually read this. So I'm just gonna give it another one to make it even more actionable for me. Please prioritize these based on impact versus effort. So as you can tell, I'm like zooming in to make it more practical for me. 3 fires, yes. It's a traction story, high impact, low effort. Right. Another one that's really good to do with a lot of this AI thing, because they've been trained to on a lot of data, is to get us to help us identify blind spots. The one thing that I would do is there any missing content that affected that rating? Try and answer questions in your mind that was a great risk, right? So if you have like product requirement document, you can ask like, is there any missing features that these people, this persona needs? Or if you're building something else, cap table, is there any missing whatever? Yes. Competitive differentiation. And Katya, this is probably why you didn't get the funding, because GTM, go-to-market strategy and use of funds, medium risk. Any questions before I continue on? Any?
My question is, why did you choose cloud instead of the capital models like ChatGPT, DeepSeek?
That's a good question. Actually, we're going to give the first prompt to all of those, and we'll see the response. The quick answer is, I just like his personality. No, seriously though, it's almost like personality thing. When you start using it, you get a feel like, oh, I feel like this LLM understands me better versus that LLM. And the style of communication is better. It's different. And I think for some of us who are more design inclined, it's interesting. I read about how they chose to use the serif font because it's more, actually, it appears more credible.
I feel like for this case, you would have used a thinking model and not Sonnet directly. Like you have a chain of thought that's likely possible with this kind of flow. And so I would have expected because you went with a zero shot and then you went with a non-thinking. So I'm just curious of why this path for doing this.
Well, two reasons. One is that I want to get quick response, right? So the zero shot, for everyone who is not familiar, is essentially a very open-ended and very there's a zero shot, me getting a good output that I can use. That's what zero shot is. And multi-shot is normally when you give it some example. Oh, this is what I want, right? So the reason for me to start with that is for demo purposes, because a lot of that people are not as familiar as you in terms of the prompt engineering. And also a lot of times when you don't know where to start, it's good to just use the zero shot for it to give you idea and just follow the rabbit hole, right? And extended thinking could be useful, but for me, this is good enough. If I wanted to go deeper, I could use the extended thinking if I feel like it didn't go deep enough. Did I answer your question?
What would be an example of extended thinking in this case?
In this case, anything that has a multi-chain of thought, that's the idea behind it is you're essentially doing few shots on its own where you essentially they're pretty much based on agentic chain of thought or tree of thoughts. Just like a human thinks about something, it's is this good? So you have a path of self-reflection. And so when you're analyzing the AI, you have to pause and think and say, okay, I got my answer. Okay, let me just self-reflect on that. Is it a good answer or not? And so you as an analyst, if that is part of your job or the question you're asking, then you would use extended thinking. If you need a quick answer, you're going to ask somebody a question at a bar for a quick question, then using Sonnet would be fine.
Yeah. And also I think when I prepare this, my thinking is that the investor spending very little time was prime me to think about this, quick. But the extended thinking really is just the AI slowing down to strategize first before acting on it. Right? For example, this is very useful for coding. For example, if you're just starting to just do it, you may not have a good plan. So start with something that's more well thought out. Okay, maybe this is how I'm going to do it. Oh, wait, this may be not right. Let me test it, and then execute. So that's useful for a complex task normally. So for me, at least my assessment is that this is not complex enough for that, but could be beneficial to do that. But now, for the sake of time, I'm going to move on and going to open the other ones.
But then can I just have one point?
Go for it.
Can you just then, following this, just say, give me the perfect pitch deck?
Well,
Let's see. Well,
Redo the pitch deck. Redo the pitch deck.
And
And the reason why I'm asking, I just did an investment memo, within the bank, and we use Copilot. And I was I redid the memo 3 times.
Well, normally you want to do it step by step with this. We'll just do it and then we'll see. But normally it's going to be garbage. We'll see.
I'd say you'd probably want to use the reasoning model if you're actually trying to create the optimal output. Whereas, for this case, it's just okay, what are the initial gut reactions someone would take? So if you're going deeper, I think the reasoning model also worth including for your investment now.
Right? Yeah, I
I feel
had to do.
they just built an agent for that.
Wow. We're still a bank.
I forgot to.
Where's he? What's the quality difference between the Chat GPT and the paid Copilot or something like that?
I don't know about paid because I'm too cheap to pay for OpenAI stuff.
Okay.
I pay for Claude better. Now maybe somebody in the room can talk to that.
this is Microsoft Copilot.
Yeah. So,
I give question.
so there's a Copilot you pay $30 a month, and then there's free Chat GPT. So, could you do this kind of stuff on Chat GPT and be effective?
For the most part, it's
They're all catching up to each other.
The best way to do it is to analyze benchmarks. To analyze an agent is to essentially check a benchmark for what the task you're looking for, and then you can figure it out. So for coding, there's sweet bunch is a way to kind of figure out if an agent of a model is performing higher. And so then people typically jump to new models depending on that. And that's how you can reevaluate if an agent actually is performing at the level you expect.
Yeah, I think for me, the best way to start testing this out is essentially just give the same prompt to different LLMs and see which one that you like. So let's do that real quick, actually. While this is working for Katya, I'm going to get...
I personally like ChatGPT more. So within the bank, we use Copilot and all the Microsoft tools. It's good, but I feel like I have the paid version of ChatGPT though. Like I pay for it.
Okay, yeah, that's,
I just, maybe that's the voice and the language, or like it kind of knows what I want, so it delivers better. Like with Copilot, I had to do like 2 iterations to get the perfect investment memo, and then it delivered me actual PDF and Word document that I needed.
There's something that's happening here as well. Just kind of FYI. So what's happening is they're having extended memory exposed. That's like OpenAI. So actually, as you use it more,
Which I noticed with
you'll start getting better answers because it's like, okay, I know who you are and I know what you like.
Yes.
So the reason why you can see that there's a reflection of that in probably the responses is based on that memory.
I do see that with the Copilot because they're like, oh, Katya, you're MD, and based on your AGM notes, here's also that's what you should mention in this meeting with your CEO. Blah blah blah. I'm like, great. Get like 5 hours of work.
So I gave Gemini, ChatGPT, and Grok the same prompt, but I forgot to attach the deck, right? And here's interesting. Gemini just like click, opening the deck. Next slide, and it's like hallucinating. And then let's see, ChatGPT.
So they should be like, where's the deck from? What's the other that you used?
Claude.
Where's the deck from Claude, Daddy? That's good.
Yeah, this one actually asked for it, right? ChatGPT asked, please upload or paste the pitch deck. And then Grok was like, I'm sitting down with a cup of coffee, ready to review, narrating a life story. And then it's actually just like giving you a novel. So let's actually give it the pitch deck.
right?
Yeah.
Provide.
I didn't provide anything. Here's the deck.
Some of the problem with all the models is that they aim to be agreeable, and you
Yep.
kind of like you have to sort of like push back on them hard for them to break outside of just trying to please you as the user. Kind of an odd phenomenon.
Okay, let's see. If we gave them the deck. Seamless tracking. So this is actually a good practice to just use multiple when you're trying to do something and see the pattern. Especially when you're doing research that's very, very important. And let's see what. Okay, Katya, here's your pitch deck.
Where's the PPT? Doesn't give you actual slides.
No, it doesn't do that. You need to like create an agent for that. But it gives you the content. And I could make it, okay, apply visual design and turn it into HTML slide deck. The design is not going to be amazing, which is why we're going to show you, I'm going to show you the next tool to do that. One thing that I like to do is actually, by the end of this, to take it to the next tool, I could ask it to give me the prompt. So I don't have to come up with the prompt. Oh, another thing is that with this generative AI, I don't know if you guys know, it creates a new version every single time, start from scratch. So consistency could be an issue. And then also burning your token.
Yeah. And then if you ever want to continue your work, you basically have to give it an enormous amount of context on what it's already done. You have to paste in everything you've already done, all the work it's already done, as much as you possibly can, and one enormous prompt basically saying like, this is where we've already been, but this is what went well, this is what didn't go well. Now we're moving on to trying to do X.
Is it all of them or just
All of it.
Most of them. Memory is coming soon, but it's not there yet.
That's like AI 6 months ago. Like most of them have memory extended inside there. So they're doing smart summarizations now so that you don't have to do that kind of thing anymore.
Yeah, for ChatGPT, I say, based on all of our previous conversations and everything that you've learned, can you update it with this kind of new meeting summary?
Yeah.
ChatGPT has that, I think, on
Yeah, they have.
Yeah. Also, projects are very useful for organizing your individual things.
Yeah, for if you're in the Claude universe,
They don't let you do advanced
I'm not familiar with the other ones, but I assume this is the same.
script. And the-
With projects to organize things is amazing. So here's an example of project I was creating a lesson. You can drop like knowledge base, like documents to teach the AI what things are, the latest things, or knowledge basically, and then you can give it a system prompt. Oh, of course. Commercial break.
All right. While we have commercial break, who's actually raising right now? Whichever.
Wine.
Deploying. 1, 2, 3. Well, I know the mosaic is also deploying.
But takes
4.
So when you try to get my co-pilot to give you the perfect pitch deck, what happened?
I didn't test the pitch decks. I only did the investment memos.
Oh, okay.
Kind of from scratch based on like raw data. They're like, here's the company, here's how much money we gave, here's blah, blah, blah. And then it gave me a perfect memo. Well, not perfect, third iteration, but gave me the memo.
Really?
No. That.
So here's the what I wanted to show you guys was the system prompt. So you don't have to tell it every single time. You don't have to give it context every single time, right? We're working on this project is amazing for organizing that. And then you can, if you have MCP, which is like basically tools for your LLM, you can also have it access. Like in this case, I have this folder that in my local system where I save this thing, so it knows that's where it's on. But anyways, back to our thing. So let's see what Google Gemini give us. Okay. So it seems like it's pretty comparable.
touch.
So as you can see, the interface, they're all kind of like very similar, copying each other. So once you know one, you can use the other. I'm actually just going to give it the follow-up prompt to give the rating, and then we move on. I'm curious about the rating from each of these.
Grok's gonna call back.
What it?
It's saying that it actually liked it that it's gonna give a call back.
Well, guess Elon's going to invest.
It's on your rock.
Based on that, 3. Oh, I guess now we're not. I guess we're not getting the call. Okay, let's ask ChatGPT if Sam's gonna call us. 5. Okay.
Being tiny nerds. I don't know.
And then Gemini
It itself created now it's rating.
8.
What?
Hallucinating heart.
Except your
Did you read
Your
that?
chat.
Like it generated.
Yeah, I gave it that.
Didn't it generate its own chat, or is it a new chat, or did it?
It's
thought
part of
it
the same chat.
Oh, okay. I thought it one of those like regenerated a nice deck on its own. So
No, it didn't.
Oh,
create
okay.
anything.
I saw it. Right.
This one is the one generated the deck.
From 410 to 85. Wow.
But wait, can you show how the
I don't
deck?
find that so helpful when it tries to do a whole project like that. I think it goes way better slide by slide.
Yeah, and that's typically the way I would use it, little chunk by little chunk, because the context is just like massive. Also,
It's really generator.
yeah, it's not just for the AI, but also for us to keep track, right? Normally, the best way to do this is one by one. And once you've got one down, then you give it to the AI and say, okay, based on this, recap what we did, right? So then give the playbook to address the other ones.
Definitely same for coding with it. You try to do too much at once, it will absolutely screw it up.
Yeah. Oh, I think it rejected my thing to do visual design. Okay. I'm just gonna move on to Grandma.
Like, click here to pay more. It's the pretty.
How many of you are familiar with Gamma? Gamma that have oh, that's few of you. So this is particularly good for addressing the visual design element. The data, the content itself is not amazing. So I'm just gonna use the description from this deck. I'm gonna say generate. So describe what you want to make. Zoom in.
So this is just for like design stuff. Is it?
It does more than that, but then this one is mostly design.
So next step is like builds your website and everything else.
It also has a website, yeah, and other tools also build a website. Okay,
It's like
AI powered.
race crashed. Stuff.
Power people analytics.
Engineers.
Startup.
But the interesting thing is, a lot of these things, like, it's just normal now. I'm surprised that we having it like a talk, like people do this all the time. Yeah, it's just, but it's also insane just how good these things are becoming. So yeah.
If you're starting out like from scratch to build your pitch deck, this is actually a good way to get started because it shows you the outline, right? It includes most of the things, not everything, because you still get to like tell them like how many cards. But typically, like you want to know, I think normally 12 to 15 is like when you have like the complete deck. But once you have something, then you can bring it to Claude, like what we did, and identify the gaps. But with this, for the sake of time, I'm going to generate. Actually, at the bottom, I get to pick the style. I'm just going to pick the red one. Why not? And it also, come up with the visual for it. So it's pretty much looking professional.
So
But a lot of the content will be very AI jargony. So this is the thing that actually before we started, I was chatting with Derek. It's crazy how like now to build something, get something built is super fast. But at the end of the day, you still spend a lot of time.
yeah, that
Because evaluating and then refining, that's where the time goes in. But the interesting thing though, I think because of that, then actually our mental capacity goes to like the places to increase the quality as opposed to just getting something started.
Correct.
This is amazing stuff. You way better than all the decks I've seen.
Yeah.
this was a free tool. Gamma. Is Gamma a tool? Was it free?
Well, there's like this one, I'm using the free one. They give you like free for, I don't know, 1 or 2, but of course they're going to try to give you money.
Okay. And can you download it as
Yes, you can download it as a PDF and you can share it as an HTML.
you download it as like a slide deck or
I don't know. Let's see.
Some people like this.
can't get that.
I don't think so.
awesome.
Yeah, this is game changer for like the visual design.
And maybe I'm gonna share.
If you take this one with the visual design back into the other ones, we'll give it a higher score because it looks nice.
Yeah.
Can you maybe I use this? Can you upload an existing deck and it can refine it using those images and stuff?
This one is not that smart,
Okay.
right? But you can give it reference for the visual design, your branding,
Got it.
right? So it can apply to branding, but then in terms of the content, I wouldn't rely on this. I would rely more on Claude or the other smarter because this is like very specialized. So
Yeah.
normally the way I work is that I have like my main person, Claude, and then for specialized thing, I go to these different places.
I think a lot of that also depends on how it was constructed. So like if it's in like a standard format that it can understand, it might do it somewhat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you kind of like taken liberties here or there, it might just not know what to do with the structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, underneath this is like probably the same LLMs, right? So you can get there, but because it's been designed to specialize on this part, the context is for that. It's going to try to keep bringing back. Essentially, under the hood, they give you like there's like a system prompt that tells the AI, you are this. This is what you're doing. So it's going to keep trying to bring you back there. And so if you try to make it through market research, it's gonna be like, but I'm here to design the deck.
Right.
But I'm here to design the deck. All right. So any other questions?
Yeah, aside from Gamma, have you experienced any other tools that are great at this visual design?
Beautiful that AI, I think Beautiful, I haven't used it much, but Beautiful is pretty good. And for this one, like I just get Claude to do it. But
And any Canva at all?
I haven't played around with Canva.
It's not bad.
I heard good things about Canva.
It's getting much better.
I'm becoming a Figma hater, so I don't use Figma stuff.
Really?
Agreed.
But yeah, so Gamma is great, Beautiful, and then there was supposedly Figma can do that too, right? Figma has Figma AI.
You can. Yes, definitely can. And they just created a specific slides product.
And then I think what we discovered, we talk about the process and AI opportunities, common pitch deck issues, content and visual design, and how to audit it. We went through that. We had fun with that. At least I did. Creating pitch deck with AI and techniques to improve the content and visual. And with that,
Wait. How about the like all the data for like to get the investors?
I'm glad you asked. That's a different workshop.
You paid for the free version of this.
This is where I upsell you.
Do you have a special list already
What do you mean?
of investors? You're like, here's the list. No, you can upsell like additional if you want to get the list. Like you don't skip the workshop, get the list.
He's learning that, right?
That's actually good. The tool, this guy on that.
Who's that?
I forget his name, but he's creating the investor.
Anthony, right?
Yeah.
So like that'd be kind of a next step after this. You create
The next one together.
you drop it into what I'm building. I would do a similar thing. Like it extracts all the text, analyzes it, puts it into the right field, saves it to a database, saves the PDF itself, and then gives it a score, gives it a market analysis, and matches it against 250,000 investor names.
Yeah, so like the next step after that is when you're ready to reach out, then you want to customize everything.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you there is no reason not to personalize it based on their history, investment, and they, or like if they built something to get the hook. But yeah, so upcoming webinar is like we're going to go deeper, but this gonna be online to create the pitch deck. If you want to do that, it's 10th of June next week. And then like Katya mentioned, if you open an account, you get if you want one-on-one coaching with me, you can just talk to Katya if you want that. Anything else, Katya?
I have more questions. So basically, if you then for let's say to customize the outreach, you can use ChatGPT or whatsoever.
You can use this
Just
different.
like here's the 100 here's the Excel spreadsheet with 100 contacts of investors. Give me customized.
Yeah, you do research, right? Go do research. Basically, the step that we normally do, go do research, and then you give them the criteria of what they should research on. Past investment, past blah, blah, blah. And then also the other thing that I like to use is this is from the, not the natural language, but the other NLP, the Tony Robbins NLP, using their own language to describe like their reality. And you can have the AI to actually craft the outreach and even the pitch deck potentially in their own language to describe it in their own worldview.
I have another crazy example from a founder. We have an astrologist in the room. What he did, he asked, like, based on my astrological calendar, give me the top investors that will most likely invest in me. No joke. It gave him like the list. I was shocked. I'm like, and he's like, yeah, this is my list. Like, and that's why we'll work great together because based on numerology, astrology, blah, blah, blah. That's how it works.
We actually have an astrologist in the moment.
Save my box. I would.
Yeah, so we do have an astrologist in house, Anya, and she's actually going to some of our events, and she's offering like 15-minute complimentary sessions. Today she's taking a break. She's actually interested in the events, but if you want to talk to her,
Use her AI.
there's a list. So
What was your actual question about the spreadsheets? Like, what type of analysis you mean?
I was just curious, like, what would be the best way to, like, to maximize fundraising, like that initial stage of like doing the research, based like who's the right investor? Because I get like lots of pitches by founders that I'm not a good fit. Like, I invest a lot in fintech, like B2B, and like I love consumer. And then I get like defense guy from DC. I'm like, dude, I'm not your like don't even waste your time. You know what I mean? So it's like clearly you could do like a better research through something and then customize. And
They should be screening better, so long as there's good publicly available information about each of the investors and you have them in a good list. But what I'll say is you don't want to give it 100 at a time. Right. So, for something like this, if you're like, hey, for each individual investor, whether it's a VC firm, or more specifically, a specific partner at a VC firm, it's going to go and it's going to do a lot of like research and come back. And if you're stringing that with now understand my business and my pitch, and then go and write a customized email for this person, I'd say max you want to do like 5 at a time or something, and you want to really validate whether or not you think that the output is good. And when you're using generative AI like this, it's kind of like whatever it spits out as the first version, and it's like molding clay. It's like you have to continuously iterate until it's.
I think for those projects where you have like an iteration over time, like the project is an easy one because then you can write a system prompt and then your system prompt guides that. And so your iteration stays in the system prompt level so that way future iterations are benefiting from that.
oh,
But yeah,
thank you guys. Any questions? And
I do have like one more thing, which I mentioned in the messages, but I'm not sure if you guys saw it. But thanks to Stifel, we're actually going to be doing a lot of events in the Hamptons during Labor Day weekend. We're doing like a mini tennis tournament. We're doing a co-working club. We're doing a beach party. We're offering free surf lessons. There's like a lot of really cool stuff. So tomorrow we'll be selecting 2 people from this table and offer free admission to at least one of those events.
and a shuttle bus.
And the show.
Be nice to Max.
it's like get on the JP.